All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Language, my YouTube live show. I'm very excited to see everyone. And yeah, let's get straight into it. Um, welcome. Our theme today is different language personalities. So this is something that I find fascinating, and I really hope that you are going to share your experiences with me. So don't forget, you can still win a £20 Amazon voucher if you share your experience with me. So you can do that just by responding to the chat. So any questions or any personal story about different different language personalities will uh, will qualify, and the winner is going to be picked on the 6th of July on our not the next live stream, because there will be one more live stream that qualifies for the Amazon giveaway. So yeah, do start sharing your experience about having a different personality in a different language with me. Be really excited to learn more about this. So I thought I'd start maybe by telling you a little bit more about my situation. So as you possibly know, if you're not completely new to my channel, I am a German. I was brought up in Germany and I became bilingual um, sort of throughout my teen years. So I learned English at school, and then I moved to London when I was 19. I was always pretty good at English, and then at some point I became bilingual. And I've noticed that my German personality does differ a little bit from my English personality. And sort of as I've been reading the research, I found it quite fascinating to kind of compare myself to what's normally going on. And I feel like I'm actually kind of fitting in quite well into what people have described. So I would say, for example, that I am more rational. I can express myself with sort of less emotion in my second language, English. But I do feel emotions a little bit stronger in German. I think I connect. I find it easier to connect in German, quite which is quite an achievement. Well, which is quite tricky, because in my relationship, my relationship, I manage mostly in English. My partner's British. We live in London, and even though he does speak German to a pretty good standard, we're just not in the habit of speaking German to each other. So a lot of emotion is happening in English. So that's definitely a learned skill. Um, so yeah, I would love to see how you guys are sort of managing this. I've looked a bit more into different studies. How are we going to do this today? I think we're going to start with a few anecdotes from others. Let me just find this. One day I've got a good system. But yeah, you can still contribute to the program. I have found a really fascinating Reddit thread about this, and I will be relying quite heavily on this for experiences from others. But again, you can still contribute to this thread if you are multilingual, or even if you're monolingual and you know somebody who's multilingual. Do let me know your experience about different language personalities. So if you speak, say, German and English, are you different? Do you act differently in German than in English? Does it depend on your mood, your surroundings? let's hear it. All right, so exactly. I found this. So the thread, I'm going to link the thread in the description later. Is to what extent does your personality change when you are bilingual? I thought this was a really interesting anecdote from a user called Brew. I currently speak 4 languages and I'm learning a fifth. I agree with this 100%. Not even just the fact that you speak one language with a certain group of people, but also languages aren't just new words for things. The way different languages are structured forces you to think in a different way. For example, Japanese is a very honest structured language. There are 4 levels of politeness when speaking, which means you have to think, which level of politeness am I going to show this person I'm speaking to? Also, not to mention, it is a subject object verb language, meaning that it makes you think of the people, of things involved before what happened to them. For this reason, I personally find myself acting differently when speaking Japanese. Same thing for the other languages too. Just figured explaining one is enough. So that's a really, really fascinating take. Oh, hi, I see we've got a message from Hugh. Lol, sent an anecdote after the last live stream and can't remember what it was now. Oh yes, your anecdote, Hugh. I've that will come up. Yes, thanks for reminding me. But yeah, that's definitely in the pool. Dun dun dun. And yeah, we've definitely got one candidate. But getting back to this guy, so he um no, I forgot everything. Um, so different languages. Yes, I agree with this. The way that a language is structured does make you think about the world differently. So my favorite example for this is actually German, or comparing German and English. English. I'm really confused today. Hi, thanks for being here. So English has a lovely little verb to put. And one thing that people like to ask me as a German teacher is, how do I say put in German? And the answer to that is, there is no real verb that's really to put. There are just different ways of putting. There is stellen, legen, setzen, stecken, but just put. We don't have that concept of just putting it. You need to specify how you're putting it in German. So German very often forces you to be more precise, whereas English gives you a little bit of a rigor room, a way to sort of go, hmm, I don't know, let's be vague. So I always heard that Germans have to be more precise. Or Germans tend to be more precise in things. And I think this is true because the German language forces them to be. And the example that we've got from Brew here is also that that Japanese has 4 different honorifics. So you're really thinking about how you address people, and this sort of honor system is baked into how you think and operate. And it does sometimes when you become quite proficient in another language, you then almost switch between these 2 very extreme ways of looking at the language. Okay, so that was our first anecdote. You can still participate in our giveaway. You can win a £20 Amazon voucher by sharing your experience or sending your questions about like different language personalities. So any contribution to a June live stream wins. So there we go. But now I've promised you, I did really enjoy Hugh's anecdote. So let's go and look for it, Hugh. I hope you're still happy to share it. Let me just 1, 2, 3. Bear with me. 2 weeks ago. Ah, I've got it. Have I got it? 30th of May. Ah, I've got it. This is a beautiful anecdote. I think it was originally sent in for um last week. Unfortunately, a little bit too late. I once had a girlfriend from the Bengal region of India, educated in Corsica. So her first language was Hindi, second French, third English, our only common language. I tried to improve my French with her, but she got impatient pretty quickly. If I tried to construct a sentence beyond a set phrase, she would say, "Don't try to speak French. You are expletive, expletive, expletive it up." Well, I did not see a swear word here, but I'm assuming it was probably a four-letter English verb starting with F. Am I correct there? Don't try to speak French. You it up. The problem was that with her Indian accent, it sounded so cute when she used profane language that it didn't really deter me. Okay, not really a language, not really about language personalities, but a nice little anecdote from last week. um, but maybe you can tell us, did your partner, girlfriend at the time have different personalities when speaking different languages? I did find out today that I think French is is the perfect language to be unimpressed. I did a little bit of work with Lorraine earlier today, and we found that French French just lends itself to being judgmental and unimpressed, and I'm completely here for it. So I should probably say I am a beginner in French. I speak German and English fluently. A beginner in French. I haven't really met my French personality yet, but I'm thinking probably neurotic German who's really, really English. I can't think of the word. Who is really self-conscious? Who is really self-conscious about her German accent when speaking French, of course. Always reassuring my students in lessons that there is absolutely nothing wrong with having an accent. And there isn't. It's just when I have an accent, that's not mine, then we have a problem. Getting off topic. We are kind of meant to be talking about, does your personality change when you are become proficient at another language? For me, I think I've explained this earlier. I'm definitely finding myself a little bit cooler, a little bit more rational in English, but at the same time, I'm happier to take risks. And I've thought quite a lot about how those two are connected. Wondering if you've got an idea what could be causing it. Um, is it because English is just a little bit cooler? Is it because it's my second language acquired as an adult? And so I'm not as sort of anxious in it. I always feel like, so English again is my second language. And I've wondered for a long time um, whether it's really a case of um, ah, I've lost my line of thought here. Focus, Eva, focus. Okay, we're talking about does your personality change when you're speaking languages? And I was in the middle of an anecdote about being more risk taking when I speak English. So I started a bit. Here we go. back to what I was talking about. I started a business uh, in English, and I think maybe I would just never have done it in German. But then again, Germany, culture-wise and sort of admin-wise, it's a lot more difficult to start a business in England. All you have to do is you have to start when you start making serious money. You have to give a call to HMRC, so that's the place that collects the taxes in the UK, and you have to say to them, "Hey, I'm self-employed," and it's all going. You don't have to worry about sort of what happens when you feel sick because there's uh, free healthcare at the point of delivery. So in that way, the NHS does sort of help entrepreneurialism, whereas in Germany, you kind of have to budget if you're self-employed to pay several hundred euros per month on health insurance. That really wouldn't happen in the UK. Um, so yeah, so part of me feels I am more risk taking, more brave in English, but maybe it's England and the UK as a society. Maybe that just lends itself more to, well, taking risk in the best possible way. So sort of trying something new and not feeling like you have to have it all figured out. German, I mean, the German language, but also the German culture always kind of forces you to plan and be precise and sort of go. I have a fantastic anecdote about from a former client, and I hope he doesn't mind me sharing it with you. So this person is, I think, Ukrainian by birth. He speaks Russian as a first language, Ukrainian, I think, as well. He speaks English to a very, very high standard, and he spoke pretty decent German when we started working together. And he'd started working with engineers in the UK and engineers in Germany. And he told me about German engineers being completely different, whereas English engineers would sort of. So this is, I think, about software, and without giving too much away, or sort of naming the company. So we're talking about sort of making software products for a global market, big company. And the English engineers, you could give them pretty vague things. I want to build an app that does X, Y, and Z. And the English engineers would sort of get to work and give you something. It wasn't quite what you wanted for. You give them feedback. They make more, uh, and then you kind of come up with a product together. So you don't necessarily have to have it all figured out. And then you've got German engineers who sort of go, okay, how do you want to do this? What do you want to do with this? What do you want with that? And essentially, you have to ask lots and lots of questions. You really have to think about what you want in the end. And if I remember this correctly, because this anecdote is a few years old, so apologies if I've got anything wrong. If you're watching this and I got your anecdote slightly wrong, please let me know and I will correct it in a later live stream. Um, so yeah, so long story short, the English engineering team would sort of collaboratively get to the product that you wanted. So that started with a very vague pitch and came back. Germans asked you a catalog of questions and then delivered a product. You looked at it and it was what you wanted. So essentially, both countries got there, but Germans sort of required you to have all the answers when you start. They weren't prepared to just sort of start working on something and then changing it again. Now, is this a cultural thing? Is this a language thing? And if you were maybe a bilingual engineer, I think if we've got any engineers on the chat, maybe do let me know. Again, as a reminder, any contributions in the chat, any messages, anecdotes, questions about contributions to the program will get entered into a giveaway. You can win a £20 Amazon voucher. Um, so, yeah, okay. And I've got a few more contributions. Need to organize myself a little bit better. Thank you for bearing with me. So again, our theme today, um, different personalities in different languages. What have we got? So again, I found this Reddit thread earlier and found it really fascinating. Um, here's an interesting contribution. I'm not sure if personality change is the most appropriate name word, since people tend to adapt their behaviors and communication style to the context they are. Personality, as it is understood in psychology, is constant and it varies depending on the context. I can talk also about my experience as a Hispanic who lives in Anglo country, but rather to clarify misinterpretation. Okay, so basically, are we really changing personality based on the language, or is it based on the people that we're around? This is an interesting question, but I do think I mean, I'm kind of invested in this idea that we've got different personalities according to different languages. Of course, you will also change your behavior. You will act different if you're with your parents or with your friends or with a client or with a colleague. Um, and that also contributes. But I do think that um, language, the more you kind of develop, the further you go along, it does shape the way you think about things. One thing, this is a little bit of a tangent, but one thing that a lot of people struggle with when they start learning a new language, and I see it time and time and time again, is trying to think in their is sort of making the switch from thinking in their own language to thinking in a different language. So I always sort of try to describe this as translating, but it's sort of translating in your head. It's one is a problem that all language learners go through. It's also a deeply humane thing, but the people who are successful at learning a language manage to make the switch from language A to language B and sort of learning that thoughts are organized in a different way, thoughts are verbalized in a different way, and that's um that's just that's really just there that's really just the way it goes. Okay, water. um but yeah, so you kind of what I'm trying to say is every language works differently, and whereas so when it comes to sort of basic concepts, so if you look at say a potato, and you have a word for this. In German, you say Kartoffel. In English, you say potato. In French, you say pomme de terre. Um, so for the basic things, there is um, there is a word, but then we sort of go like let's go back to the example from earlier for the verb to put, which exists in English and is a fairly basic concept, but German already forces you to sort of clarify how are we putting? Are we standing it up? Are we lying it down? Are we inserting it? What exactly are we doing? So again, we have to think further ahead. And yeah, where am I going with this? And if you're am I going with this? And you are, um, if you are, if you are, um, if you are making the switch, if you are learning to think in a different language, and if you have become successful and very later on bilingual, you will be thinking differently because you've adapted to the language. It's really it's a form of empathy. Right. So I think we are getting towards the end of of our anecdotes. I would love to hear a little bit more from you. Different personalities in different languages. What's your experience? Let's see. Maybe let's look at a couple more anecdotes, and then call it a day. Let's see what's good here. Hmm. Ah, this is an interesting one. This is one that I've heard earlier. So we'll go into this anecdote. If there's an anecdote or question you want to share, put it in the comment, and we'll discuss it after this one. In my native, I am a class clown, but in any target language, I'm very matter of fact. I'm just trying to get from point A to point B. If I have time, think and look up a word or two, like when texting, I can joke more, but in speech, it's too fast. Being funny is creative. The creative, the creativity processing unit and the language processing unit running at the same time is too much for the stages I'm in my target languages as of right now. Okay, I think this kind of suggests, and I mean, I don't know. So this person sort of goes English, Portuguese, Spanish, and Italian. So we're talking four languages, um, which is quite amazing to sort of juggle them in their head. And even if you are bi or multilingual, most people have a stronger and a weaker language, or stronger at certain things. Um, I think if you speak several languages, you may have noticed before that if you're, for example, talking about work, you find it easier to speak in the language, in the work language. So if I had to tell my mom, who doesn't speak any English, about my work, I'd struggle a little bit. I'd be searching for more words because I'm really used to talking about. Okay, that's a little bit different. My work is kind of multilingual anyway. Um, But really, if I was talking to her about making videos on YouTube, which I've decided to do in English, again, just saying English, I feel more comfortable. I can put myself out there in English much more than if I was speaking German. So I think it's definitely going to be a while until I will make a German speaking YouTube, which is probably tells you quite a lot more about me than I'd ever intend to tell you. But there we go, it's out there, and it came out in English. German Eva would not do this. Um, but this person, just looking at their name again. So Sky Phoenix sort of can be spontaneous and jokey when they're speaking their native language. I'm assuming it's English, but when speaking their target languages, the languages they are learning at the moment, very matter of fact, A to B. But again, I think that sort of shows us that this person is learning several languages and he's not as proficient in those languages as he would be, or she, so as they would be uh, when speaking in their native language. Completely normal. And I think the ability to sort of joke around in the language that you're learning, that's far, far down the list. if you can make a spontaneous joke in a language that you're learning, that's really a sign that you've surpassed a lot of learners. Um, so yeah, just looking there, we've got no contributions. Nobody's winning a £20 voucher. At least, well, again, you've still got the chance of winning £20, winning a £20 voucher. If you are contributing to today's program, we are pretty much at the end. So if you still want to contribute, you need to get your skates on, but um, you've still got a chance to win the voucher no, not next week because I'm only doing it every 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks' time, for our last program, there is one more voucher to be won. Ha, 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 ha. Oh, we've got a message. Hi JKJ. Thanks for joining. Um, Thanks for joining the live stream. We're talking today about different language personalities. So, JK, let me know, do you speak different languages and how does your personality change in either of them? Again, if you've got an anecdote to send in, please do so. Let me know. Any contribution to the program today or in 2 weeks' time wins or has a chance to win a £20 Amazon voucher. There's one Amazon voucher up for grab for any contributions to all my June live streams. And there's one more to go. And then we're talking about a career in languages. So, right. But let's have a look at the last anecdote of this evening, unless you've got one more to share. Okay. Oh, this is a nice one to end this program on. My wife is white and fluent in Korean and Arabic, and we live in a small town, USA. She went to our kids' elementary school and was telling them about her Arabic. A Korean boy with a very cocky attitude that fit in with the energetically loud kids around him said, "Oh yeah, well, can you speak Korean?" When my wife replied in Korean that she can, the boy's cockiness disappeared in an instant, and he immediately assumed a demeanor of disciplined Korean boy whose place is to be quiet and deferential to his elders at all times. So, cool story and all, but the unexpected language switch changed that boy in an instant. Okay, that's an interesting one. I find that in this instance, it's probably not just the fact that he switched to Korean, but also the fact that that his bluff was spectacularly called. So this came from a user called Boomtown26. Boomtown26. What an amazing anecdote. So again, I will be linking to this thread on Reddit. It's a really interesting read. It will cover quite a lot of the things that we have talked about. Right. So we've talked a lot about different language personalities. This is a subject that continues to fascinate me, so I might revisit it again. But I also found that people really didn't have a lot of anecdotes to share. So maybe you are a little bit more forthcoming in our next live stream. The next live stream will be on the 29th of June. The theme is going to be more than just teaching and translating, a career in languages. And if you have any questions about using your languages for work, your multilingualism for work, or you can tell us about your experience. So do you speak different languages? How is that serving you at work? Do you use your languages for work? Do you notice a difference now that AI is becoming more and more popular, I want to know. And any contribution to the program will be entered into a prize draw to win the June giveaway, win a £20 gift voucher for Amazon. Um, so send me your contributions. You can simply comment under the relevant scheduled live stream. I'll be putting up the next live stream tomorrow. Um, so if you've got something to get off your chest right now, you can email me to info@londonlanguagehub.co.uk. That's info@londonlanguagehub.co.uk. And send me your anecdotes, and you can win a £20 gift voucher. So, and the winner will be drawn on the 1st July podcast. Let me just double check. It will be on the 6th of July. So, winner will be drawn on the 6th of July. Send me your questions and your experiences about working with different languages. So I will see you in 2 weeks, and I'm looking forward to your anecdotes. All right. I will see you. I will see you soon. Mm, 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 mm.